Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice. Okay. Got a lot to do. A lot going on. What we're going to do is, see this? This is French. Pondicherry, I believe is how you pronounce it. We're going to invade there very soon. The reason we're invading there is because if you do so, the Indians won't immediately react. Oh, good. They all shattered and attacking me. Great. Okay. We're gonna burst out of there. Put these guys up here. Have them. Oh, can't wait. Let's go here. Yes. Roll. Have them patrolling. These guys here. Invading. Invasion. Mainland India. To the French colony. I think we're being bombed is why that's going so red. Let's take a quick look. Yes, see here. They've done some damage. Base. Use but factory. Put these guys up here. On inspection duty. They're already there. They need to get organized first. Galland got messed up, I think, going after the bombers there. Ready. Okay, assault guns have advanced. Better stugs. Well. Gun turrets would be. How are we doing down this? Oop. Oh man. I think I can just, there's another way of doing this, but this may work well enough. Okay, well, let's see, we gotta make sure we get, you go there, you go there, we gotta get a port. Yes, we can fly in supplies, that could, close enough to do that for a while. Well, let's keep attacking the headquarters unit there. You attack the Colonial Light Infantry to keep them from doing something we don't want them to do. We've won the battle of Pondicherry against the French garrison. Small one. Naval base efficiency. Well, at least that gives our base much better supply throughput, which is very nice. Facing... Yeah, we'll continue that one. Because we're running so many colonies here and going in places here that have limited facing ability. Oh, right after the first of the month, a lot of stuff happening. African Army recruitment. Let's see how we're doing with that. Keep forgetting where you're here. Okay, yeah, we're going to keep that going. Not yet gotten ability to do India, though that we will get hopefully soon. Once we get certain territories. Okay, United Kingdom lost HMS Resolution. Okay, I remember we were, and HMS Nelson, okay. Remember we were fighting here, but they may have been gotten by the Italian Navy or something, could be. Or some other places. Okay, and a sort of monthly outbreak of partisans here in okay, well no, actually let's send you here. We should probably do a better use for you. Okay. Order placed. Friendly nation. Who's the friendly nation? Romania. Yeah, we'll do that. 11th SS Free Will and Panzer Division Nordland. Was formed in 1943 to combine all the Scandinavian Dutch volunteer formations. However, the Dutch did not end up in Nordland. Instead, it contained majority of Volksdeutsch ethnic Germans and a minority of Scandinavians. Yes, I don't know, they may even say this later on, but Nordland was more of a how do I put this? Hope over reality. They really thought that they could or would be recruiting larger numbers of you know, Swedes, Danes, and Norwegians. I know I've talked earlier about how particularly the Norge SS, the Norwegian SS, were constantly recruiting locally for the Norwegian SS, and then young men. And a percentage of those young men were then later recruited into the Waffen SS, which kept the Norwegian SS from getting too big. But still, those numbers are in the thousands, not the tens of thousands. You know, sort of the total, and I don't have good total figures. But let's just say, I don't know, 5,000 Norwegians signed up for the local SS, and that may be a bit higher or something like that. But let's say about 3,000 of them volunteer for for Waffen SS service, which could also be in Viking or some other units as well, potentially. And but that's not all in one day or 1 month or even 1 year. It's over time. So you got to realize these units that are fighting on the Eastern fronts are constantly having casualties. So you're needing to fill the replacements, and where, like I say, the Volksdeutsch ethnic Germans were large element, the majority element of the division was sent to Croatia in 43 for training, where it also took part in anti-partisan activities. Ordered to the Oranienbaum front near Leningrad in November and December 43, it suffered heavy losses during a renewed Soviet offensive. The division then fought on the Luga River and at Narva before retreating to the Tannenberg Line in July 44, where it remained until September, when it retreated into Latvia and seeing action in the Kurland battles, where it transferred to Pomerania in February 45. It fought until March 19th, when it was evacuated and sent to the Order front. So yeah, so it's, and also a story of mostly defensive actions along in that kind of situation. Now, we're not going to have that situation. We're going to have a nice division. Okay. Dutch NSKK. Recruiting poster for the Dutch NSKK. You two belong with us, joined the NSKK group Luftwaffe. About 4,000 Dutchmen joined the NSKK. This is a TRE event. I know there is another event sort of dealing with this, with GGA, I believe. It has similar or different effects, but covers a similar thing. Again, this isn't 4,000 Dutchmen joining all in one day either. But I thought it was interesting because it is from around 43. And these, with their sort of camouflage looking, I think those are camouflage. No, I think they're just gray. They're just sort of the gray type uniforms. I was thinking they're camouflage different. No, they're just sort of the field gray. But they have black collar patches, but if you notice, they have the Luftwaffe eagles on them. And so these were, and they're carrying cartridge belts or boxes or cartridge pouches. That's the word I'm looking for on there. So presumably these guys are also, you know, equipped with rifles. That's the standard sort of German cartridge box. So quite likely Mauser rifles. So these are not just drivers, you know, guys, hey, I'm going to drive, you know, but they are not frontline combat troops either. And I just find that this is an interesting that you can convince 4,000 Dutchmen, and this was starting around sometime, I believe, in 43 when they start recruiting, but into more and more into foreign lands for the NSKK. And again, I know I've talked before, but I don't know if everyone. This is a really mixed authority type units. This is most definitely an NSKK unit. Notice the wolf angle, or whatever, I believe that's what you say, patch that you can see them wearing there. That is the patch for the Dutch. I'm now blanking whether it's fascist or National Socialist organization, but that's a local Dutch political group that was allowed to, existed before the Nazis, allowed to continue to exist under that. So I don't know how ideologically these men are. This is the NSKK driver's qualification patch that you see this guy here wearing, and notice for the the poster, which is in Dutch, he's wearing a standard NSKK patch here. But so these guys are joining up. I sort of, you know, on how much is propaganda, how much do you know about the world, how much they even at 43. To me, Germany is doomed in 43, actually, because about you know, this time they're landing, I forget exactly when they were landing it in this part of Italy. I know Rome was taken on June 5th, 44. So I mean, that's still over a year away. So yeah, maybe it's not looked quite so doomed. But this is also, again, not over. This wasn't one big rush of NSKK men who joined up. units over time, so men were joining. And so again, I mean, it fascinates me and such. But also, like I say, this I know I'm jumping around here. Sorry about that. So this is an NSKK unit, but like I said, notice the Luftwaffe Eagles. It was basically to and it says Gruppe Luftwaffe. Basically, these NSKK units were to service the Luftwaffe, as opposed to other NSKK units that were more servicing organization tote. But so that these are combat, not frontline combat units again, but these are combat units, partisans or defend, and these are mainly set up as behind the lines truck transport elements, and they did serve out most of the time. I believe they served outside of the Netherlands, and they wanted to specifically get these type of people recruited up and get them out of their environment, so they couldn't possibly be like secret partisans kind of thing to leak out information to the partisans, or be threatened by the partisans. Hey, tell us where, when you're making the deliveries, or we'll kill you or something. They wanted to get them away from their sort of potential threat from the partisans once they're trained up. So a lot of these units served on the Eastern Front, but again, not as primary combat troops. So I just wonder who is going, who needs a job bad enough, but doesn't quite want to go into the Waffen SS and actually primarily shoot at Russian soldiers. So that's who they recruited up, and they got about 4,000 men. So we get a little bit of manpower, lose a little bit of supplies, and get an OB. So yes, we'll take that. And I just basically confiscated some more civilian trucks and have another NSKK Luftwaffe transport unit that you can, as you're playing, there it is, do whatever you want with it, obviously. And so, like, again, I say it was mainly, they were driving, I don't know, supplies from the local railhead to the local airbase, but you want to motorize a few of these flak units or something, stick 2 or 3 flak units and headquarters and whatever, get them motorized. That's what it's there for. I don't know if I'm at this place going to worry about finding a use for it, but that is what it's for. And this I also thought was an interesting photo. You can see the basic photo there that I got the close up. Turkish military mission. Should we try to improve our relations with Turkey by showing off some of our latest weapon systems like the Tiger tank? This could show that the great German military will be victorious. Again, I don't know a lot more than what I said about that. Weapons in that, those two guys are the Turks, I think, and that guy there is the Turk. That's German officer. Those two are German tank crewmen, not SS. Again, they're just Black Panzer crewmen. They're wearing, Black Panzer uniforms. Normally something like a Tiger tank is a bit of a secret. Not that it exists, not that that you can, see a photograph of it, but to climb all over it. I mean, they don't have the rulers out, but they can, sort of see from various things how thick the armor looks and that kind of thing. So they're getting a lot of information about it that they could intentionally or unintentionally pass on to the Allies. Meaning, if they type up a report and say, hey, today we saw a Tiger tank. It had 3 inches of frontal armor and, this type of gun. And now, at some point, yes, they know the Allies have captured them and the Soviets. So, I don't know. Maybe they think the Allies have enough. Everybody has enough information on it. But I just thought it was interesting that they are letting the Turks crawl all over a Tiger tank. And obviously, it's to impress the Turks. There is no other reason to do this. They're not going to be selling any to the, hey, yeah, we need some money. Do you want to buy some Tiger tanks? No. They're not going to sell any to Turkey. Maybe they would, theoretically, sell / give or something if that would actually bring them into the war. But short of that, you know, yeah, you join the war, we'll send you, you know, 30 tanks or something. They might have offered that, but beyond that, they're not going to be selling any. So it's not a sales pitch in that sense. So it's to get Turkey either in the war or, worse, maybe keep them out of the war or keep them from joining the Allies. Saying we'll drive the, you know, without quite saying it, but we could be driving these like I've just done across Turkey. And this is designed, oh, yeah, I have a problem here. I've got a bug, another one I gotta fix. Relations with null by 10. So we're gonna do no need. This is meant to improve relations with Turkey by a little bit. And obviously the 2 supplies and 2 money is just showing the Turkish officers around and feeding them for a few days. So we're gonna go no, because we don't need to do that. But that's a bug I need to fix. People are supposed to be reporting these things. And this only happens if you're at peace with Turkey, and obviously we're now back at peace, even though they're a puppet. It doesn't check for that. But as you also know, yes, 10 helps a lot, but Turkey doesn't normally join the Allies. Okay, 1% major air base. No, thank you. Save our money. Panzer Corps, SS Panzer Corps formations are available. Okay, 20 manpower. Ooh, well, we're almost at 600. That Dutch manpower helped us out. Spring 43 tax. Yeah, we'll go with that. And yeah, that's this overly popping up. The 100th Jaeger Division. The 100th Jaeger Division, formerly the 100th Lish Infantry Division, was a light infantry division initially set up in December 40 as the 100th Light Infantry Division. The unit was raised in Upper Austria, based in Ried. The formation was only German Jaeger Division to fight at the Battle of Stalingrad. The 100th Light Infantry, along with the 369th Reinforced Croatian Infantry Regiment, were virtually destroyed at Stalingrad. The 100th Jaeger was re-established April 43 and funded partisans in the Balkans campaign. The division comprised 2/3 Austrian and 1/3 Silesian. In the later stages of the war, the division was composed of members of most of Germany's geographically large number of German-speaking Wallonians. Okay. Yeah, I think we already sort of have it because we didn't get it destroyed, but we'll take this version of it too. Fliegerführer Croatian. Probably just a ground headquarters. But it's only 2 manpower, so we'll do it. Fug 112 Liechtenstein C1. Okay. During 43, the Liechtenstein BC, I think it's both B and C, was improved as the Fug, or FUG 212 Liechtenstein C1. The longer range and wider angle view still operating at UHF frequencies between 420 and 480 megahertz, still using the complex Maretez aerial set. By this point in the war, the British had become experts on jamming German radars. The Luftwaffe flight crew of a BC-equipped Ju-88R1 night fighter defected in April 43 and landed in Scotland. I didn't know that. That's interesting. And this presenting a working example of the German radar for the first time. Subsequent refinements to window. Basically, that's airdrop chaff, known as Drupal by the Luftwaffe from the British, or by the Luftwaffe from Berlin suburbs. It was first found near. Okay. Rendered the BC almost useless for several crucial weeks. Yeah, basically the window, or sort of chaff as we would now call it, is I think just basically strips of aluminum foil but it sort of needs to be at like the right length or something to disrupt the radar, and basically just shows up as a big cloud in the sky, and it takes a while to fall out of the sky because it's so thin. And so, not that you know it. So aircraft flying through the cloud, it's hard to pinpoint. So yeah, we'll go for that 50. No, we don't need this. Again, this needs to be checked. The 104th Jaeger Division was formed on April 1st, 1943 by the reorganization and redesignation of the 704th Infantry Division. It was surrendered in Yugoslavia. Okay. Yes, we'll take those. So, Fliegerführer, Croatia. Okay, is just a ground quarters. I was hoping maybe it would be some small air element, because they definitely had air elements. How far away? Well, don't we have a air command down here somewhere? That's naval. There we go. So he's down in Greece. Or Athens. Keep it going down. Down. Yeah, there we go. Athena. There we go. I'm even gonna probably give him an HQ at the moment. Okay. In Germany, another really cool looking Jaeger division. Yes, send them down here. We may use them in India or someplace. Let's just become our somewhere here. Not as cool. Doesn't have the elite infantry or the cool headquarters. Where are you? Oh, here. We'll right in on top of one of the units. Oh, maybe not. There you go. Doing that fight. Pulled a general out from somewhere. Does this guy have a general? Yep, does, but looks like he wasn't being used. There's no experience built up. Okay, that's a cool, and that's a cool, yeah, heavy panzers. Motorized, okay, so both of these are pretty good, so. Let's send them west, we'll later figure out. Now, one thing I definitely do that, a lot of good stuff, that is different than historical is corps often had 2 or 3 divisions in them, historically. Quite honestly, I don't know how big corps, and I'm sure it varied from army to army, if many got more than 5. I think getting too much more than 5 is going to be rare. Just because it's a lot to command and control. And it's not just a general telling a wait a minute, that's also the 104th. Did we have 204th? Okay, interesting, we got 202 104ths. Okay, well, we'll use them. I think one was UTR and the other is GGA. Yeah, whatever. So, and a lot of times, like I was saying, it's just 2 or 3 divisions. And it's not like, again, not just a general telling, you know, a divisional commander where to go and what to do. It's maintaining supply, coordination, boundary lines between units, who's using what roads when to move forward, and all this kind of stuff that is coordinating. You start sticking too much of that into, and plus also, which we are simulating, most of us who play this, well, this is on this, but is there were also a lot of assets that were often just assigned to the corps, like those heavy panzer units. Those would be assigned to a corps, then practically in the practical in the field, either fully or partially temporarily assigned to a division. Sometimes the corps commander would want to keep sort of control over them, and would, you know, these subsequent units and shift them from time to time. You know, like for this case, for a few days, say the self-propelled artillery would be supporting the Hermann Goering division, and then, oh, the 6th Panzer Division needs some extra artillery support, so they shifted over to them. And so it was an asset that could at any moment be taken away from the divisional commander's use of it. And again, sometimes it could be spread out, like a reconnaissance elements could be out there reconning for everybody and just updating whoever, or specifically assigned. So they'd be attached and unattached to the divisions as sort of at need, and that's sort of some of the reason why you want to keep the corps the way you do, because they're administrating core assets that are combat as well. So, but I don't do that because I am trying to maximize the experience going up and maximize the command and control benefits going down. A level 4 or level 5 corps general spreads his command capabilities equally to all of his divisions, whether there's 1 division or 5 divisions. Now, if it was a case that he would be less and less effective the more divisions you stick under him, you know, so full attention to 1 or 1/5 of his attention to 5, then I would start adjusting my strategy in cases and that kind of thing. So it's sort of the gamey effect that I have. Okay. SS Polizei Division, Panzer Grenadier Division. SS Polizei Panzer Grenadier Division. Okay, didn't read that well, did I? In the first half of 43, the SS Polizei Division was reformed as the 4th SS Panzer Grenadier Division, and after training and forming was sent to the Balkans area. Elements of the division saw action in Greece on anti-partisan duties, and the division also fought near Belgrade. In February 45, the division was pushed into Slovakia, and there it was moved north to Pomeranian area, where it I think it's supposed to be once again BSC, I believe, once again saw action attempting to hold the Soviets back. Soon after, the 4th SS Division was moved to Danzig, where it was trapped by Soviet forces. After the dire battle, the division was shipped across the Hela Peninsula over to Schumamund. From there, the division rested and then moved to position itself, surrender to the Americans near Wittensburg, Larsen. Okay. Again, with the generally the SS divisions lagged in behind their names versus their actual states, meaning they probably had a what's in our production queue, I guess, a a panzer company or something assigned to it before it was a Panzer Grenadier Division, and the name was later changed. And I'm also, as I'm wondering here, was it sent to Greece because they were really expecting an American or Allied invasion there, so that by doing so, okay, good, and be down here. There we go. It'll take time to get organized up, but good colonial light infantry would be useful in India. Come down here, just find some minimally acceptable type commander with, there we go. Want to waste a good one on that. So was that good Allied strategy, you know, where we're going to land next? So they send a good Panzer Grenadier unit, that may be it, or was it just marginally well equipped and not good enough really to go serve on the Eastern Front while they still had better units? Okay. The 130th Panzerlehr Division. The 130th Panzerlehr was formed from demonstration units of the various Panzer schools and was equipped with better equipment than most of the most of the armored divisions. It was transferred to France in February 44, then to Hungary in April, where it absorbed the infantry Lehr Regiment 109. It soon returned to France in preparation for the expected landings. On D-Day, it was in Paris area. Immediately, it was sent to Normandy, losing over 200 vehicles to air attacks. During the move, it fought the Allied landings, but was soon forced to retreat. It was sent to the Saar for refitting and later fought in the Ardennes. It was caught in the Ruhr pocket and surrendered to the U.S. Army in April 45. Now, this is a very famous unit, very good unit, a very elite unit. As I've said before, Hitler and the General Staff to please Hitler was more interested in giving new equipment to raise new forces. So instead of sending that equipment to, I don't know, say the 7th Panzer Division, wherever it was at the time, create this new force. Now, what the sort of downside of this unit is that it pulled out a lot of the trainers from the various schools, Panzer schools, and I believe artillery schools, and, you know, what have you. I don't know, I just quite honestly don't know whether their slots were filled by well-skilled but tired men from the Eastern Front, you know, guys been fighting a little too long, a little too much, and let's give them a break and get them back into the schools. If that's the case, if the schools got competent men but that needed a rest pulled out of other units, that you know you got to have some levels of rotation at some point, then it's fine, and that's presumably what we're doing here. But this is potentially something that you can have as a yes but kind of decision. This is also one of the reasons why, because I knew some of these, well, that's an upgrade, but that's a new division. A new Panzerlehr was coming. It's why I haven't been building a lot of new units. Partially, of course, it's the manpower situation. That's it. I know we've talked a lot, but just my various thoughts and knowledge on the war. And, of course, please post corrections, questions, questions. Oh, additional information if you have it about any of these topics. Okay, so we're getting ready for this almost overkill for going after Saudi Arabia in this little British pocket here, but we're getting ready for that. Okay, heavy assault guns advance, cool. Don't know if I'm planning on building any, but we're stopping that for now. Partially, I want to do some of these because sometimes some events that will give us things, medium tank destroyers, are tied with research levels. So if we've researched something, they'll go, oh, well, now that you've researched medium or heavy assault guns, we'll have an event prior to give you a particular heavy assault gun unit. Okay, garrison unit, supply, defense. Yeah, we'll do that. We still have another one. Okay, yeah, there were two. To the king. Ready. I know, then we'll come up here and increase that, but a lot of useful things. Yeah. Okay, yes. We'll get a lot of money. We've already had that, so we don't need that again. We've already had that, I think 2 or 3 times, but we don't need that again. Okay, good. Both of you go there, you go for Madras. I think most of the Indian army is fighting over here in Burma. Now that that port is taken, we are here. Let's put ashore these and oh, well, that. Okay, well, that'll transport them. That ain't fast, but we're not going very far. And let's. Okay, good. So, well, right now we're gonna go here. Transport, and we need to Pondicherry. Let's go supply convoy out of Pola. They must be shipping so many supplies out of there. And that is just a level 1 fort, which or level 1 port. But we're going to get what's it next to it very soon. That will allow us to much better. Okay. You stop and support that attack. I don't really want to send large forces up there right now. Gotta reorganize there. Okay. Okay, we're back to fairly good conditions here. So let's risk the movement up to here. Well, no, we don't want some heavy tiger units for invading the Azores. I don't think they'll be needed. Ah, somebody else wants to join us. Portugal, yay! Yay. As you know, I was sort of worried about what Portugal might want to do if we take some land away from the the Americans that were currently it's impossible, it says. Why does it say impossible? Yeah, I know you're not in a position to really. Okay, we'll quickly you come there and take that. Hopefully the Vichy will be able to... I know it was going to go Vichy, which is sort of a pain, but... Supply. Duff is improved. Nice. Yeah, we'll go with that. Keep being too vulnerable. And mechanical computing, okay, that would... So again, for a long time we're stopping that. Yeah, we need to do this. This will help supply in the east, obviously. Okay, well, we're going to invite to our faction, even though it says impossible. They refused. I don't know if it's because they're lied to Spain or something else, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so we've taken out that unit. You keep coming there. We're all over your colonies down here. They don't have a worry about being invaded by any allied person down here. Okay, so we are battling some garrison units, okay. Maybe tank destroyers. Sort of hoping maybe somebody made an event for the Ferdinand / Oliphants or something to give us a super heavy. I've got a lot of those. Tank destroyer units or something. I don't know that I'm going to build them. Oh, stop this for a second. Okay, yeah. Okay, the Ghetto Uprising. This is a Third Reich event unit, and the way I'm sort of getting away with it is this is a partisan uprising. Yes, that's all it is. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising was the 1943 active resistance that rose within the Warsaw Ghetto in German-occupied Poland. The most significant portion of the rebellion took place from 19th of April and ended when the poorly armed and supplied resistance was crushed by the Germans, who officially finished their operations on May 16th. Notice that's almost a month. It was the first mass uprising in Nazi-occupied Europe, but had little Polish support. Poles, as a whole, weren't terribly friendly to the Jews. No. Yeah, get that out of the way. Those women were executed, I think, shortly after this photo was taken. Those guys, I don't know, they may be more from, but they're not wearing the white. They're carrying Sten guns, so I think that they're from the more later General Warsaw Uprising. But there's some of the few pictures I get, sort of some of the part of a famous sequence of the SD operating during the Warsaw Uprising. Of course, there weren't many photos of the, from the Jewish side. So, I gotta do a little better job at making the unit appear. Oh, well, let's see. There we are. So if you don't have it occupied, you will lose Warsaw until you get back. So keep Warsaw occupied. There we go. And I will give a little political thought here to people. This is why ownership of guns is so important. And I know, well, at best about 30% or 36% of this audience are American. So obviously we have, or U.S. citizens technically, I guess. Technically, there's been chatting a bit on it. Technically, Canadians are Americans, Mexicans are Americans, Brazilians are Americans, Argentinians, in that we're all from the continent of North and South America. So yeah, we're all Americans here, that sense. But normally when people say Americans, I mean United States of America. These are, again, for those of you who may not entirely understand, including those of you who are citizens here, these are 50 countries in America mostly. One isn't. Hawaii isn't in America. All the rest are, including Alaska is in America. 50 different states, similar, the idea of states similar to a nation. Idea doesn't mean exactly the same thing. Together as one. So that is why America is sort of appropriate, because I'm not just talking about Virginians or Texans or Californians or Kansans or no, is it Illinoisans? That doesn't sound right. Missourians sound right. New Yorkers, that would be New York or Chicago or I don't know, or Illinois, I don't know. But New Yorkers or Marylanders or whatever. So that's why we generically, instead of calling them, well, sometimes U.S. citizens, but U.S.ers, they're Americans is why. But, and as I've stated, when and as the term was used, it was not necessarily anything geographically defined other than simply thought to be America. Because when we were calling ourselves Americans early on, you can look in the early, not whether colonial period, but early nationhood, we had our states here, but we claimed a lot of land that was claimed by various European powers, and as well as claimed by the Native Americans, of course, but wasn't well organized politically or whatever, shall we say. They claimed a lot of that, and actually you can look at some of the stuff that for a while some of these states were claiming back land from this parallel all the way to the edge of the territory, and so they were claiming all these sort of weird stripes going east. You wonder why Tennessee here looks this way. I think largely because that's sort of the northern expanse of the South Carolina colony, and this was just North Carolina trying to say we own everything here. So but only up to here. So obviously there was huge mountains here, well, huge enough that made it geographically separate. So the idea was that we weren't limited in scope or territory, and so we were going to continue to expand, and was only really sort of solid Mexican resistance, not so much military, but as in massive population. Please do understand, California was part of Mexico. It rebelled from Mexico, supported by both Spanish-speaking Mexican citizens as well as recent incoming Americans in there. But the local Mexicans up here, it was very sparsely populated. Los Angeles, San Diego, were okay size of towns, but where's Monterey here? I think it's not Santa Barbara. Oh, Santa Maria. Monterey is sort of right in. This is sort of one of it's sort of somewhat coordinated, but two spots. One was sort of Monterey right in here. Carmel, Monterey, King City. I think it's right in here. Was one of the ports was one of the major towns, which is obviously nothing of a town today in scale compared to San Francisco, LA, San Diego. It's just a small, sleepy little town. Was where Californian independence. There was also more of a somewhere in here declaration about it the same day, the uprising. And so these were, you know, fairly small towns. San Francisco was nothing like post gold rush San Francisco kind of thing, and up from somewhere around here north, at times Russia was colonizing and claiming, and is it? That's not the Russian River. There's a river called the Russian River because it was part of a Russian colony coming over, you know, down from Alaska, coming down in here. So the Russians were claiming sort of this part of the coast at the time. But these local Mexicans were small, isolated, compared to these Mexicans down here. And they really did not like to be ruled from Mexico City. Trust me, a lot of corruption going on. And most of the significant people here were still land grants under the Spanish crown. The big hacienda systems, I don't know how much you want to get into that right now, not too much, but the big hacienda systems were still the basic power support locally, and they were Spanish in origin, not Mexican in origin, you know, ownership. And one of the sort of deals is that the incoming American people that set this up agreed that all of those and other landholdings were all going to be respected. That, and I don't know exactly what in writing, but something I think it was attained, so that none of these people would be displaced. You know, all the landowners, and you know, mostly it was large landowners on it, and some of the families still very much own their, including some areas around large sections of Los Angeles are still owned by a few individuals. People don't hardly know or realize, including almost large sections of local cities are that way. It's going right back. So they sort of protected those people and got in here, but of course they realized at some point America was going to overrun them, and it was, again, a very small Mexican population. I don't know whether the Indian or the Mexican population was larger at the time. And so that was that limitation. And obviously, if you've studied, you know, the Texas story. Oh, California was independent for, as an independent republic, we still have it on our flag, for 4 days. After 4 days, we joined the Union. So that's wasn't like Texas, that was a few years independent, but it was very quick. So that was sort of the, you know, this was deserty nothing in here, and then this is starting to get large populations of Mexicans who weren't, and of course it was the British Empire that limited the northern expansion. Trust me, they tried during the Revolutionary War, and when they thought, hey, yeah, let's have this war with Britain, who just got finished fighting the Napoleonic army, because when they started up, it was sort of, you know, Britain was the sort of naval superpower and had a really great kick-ass army. Yeah, let's go to war with them. Well, it'll be a walkover to just take Canada, and they thought they were going to take Canada as well. That didn't happen. So America, at its foundation and basic viewpoint, and a lot of Americans, I'm not, trust me, I'm not, but are ashamed of our colonialism and expansion and imperialism. Yeah, from the beginning, not just get to the Pacific coast, but just get this away from the Spanish, get Louisiana away from the French. We're just moving east, and we're grabbing what we can. And so it's not a limited to it, but that sort of shows what America is, and that's why it's America more so than a specific flavor of an American. Like, these are Brazilian Americans, these are Peruvian Americans, these are Argentinian Americans, if you will. And maybe we have a few Brazilian viewers. You may be offended by that term and thinking that I'm thinking it's meaning it's like an African American or Mexican American. No, it's not, and it doesn't mean that Brazil needs to be part of America or anything like that. It's just these are the peoples of the America, and they're different ethnic groups, different cultural groups, absolutely. But that's sort of why we're defined a little bit more expansionistic with just general term Americans. So that's, I know we've wandered way off topic here. Sorry. Okay. Yes, we will take the 118th Jaeger Division and we're running late on time. Was a German infantry division of World War II. Okay. I don't know if Revolverheld is watching this. I'm presuming this is Revolverheld's event, and he, being German, very much may be copying and pasting this. I know I do this for events and then re-edit things, but I think to the point, was a German infantry division of World War II. We already sort of know that it's World War II. Okay, was a German infantry division, or was a, something else, might be. But it was formed, so I mean, you could cut that out. And the reason I'm thinking it's a Wikipedia entry is just because if it's a standalone thing, but they keep repeating that often. Was formed, saying was, and we probably know that it was German since this is German, but whatever. Being nitpicky, okay, was by the redesignation of the 718th Infantry Division. It was transferred to Yugoslavia in May 41 to conduct any partisan and internal security operations. It took part in the Battle of Sutjeska in June 43 and fought partisans in Bosnia before being sent to the Dalmatian coast to guard against the Allied landings in September 44. Now, as I talked about earlier, the Polizei Division being sent down here did fight, as they say, anti-partisan operations. And I'm still unsure whether it was specifically sent to worry about Allied invasions primarily, or was it just not quite up to going toe-to-toe with the Soviets at the moment. And I also wonder, again, I know I mentioned this in a recent episode, at some point in the war, most German infantry divisions get renamed Grenadier divisions. Not Panzer Grenadier, just Grenadier division. Grenadiers come through various traditions as being sort of elite soldiers. Not necessarily that they were. Depends on the army and depends on the time and depends on the regiment. But so as sort of a morale booster, the one sort of big there were various exceptions to it, but the main infantry exceptions were the Jaeger division, and they were thought to be an elite divisions, not quite up to maybe the specialized mountain divisions, but be better than standard. But I'm just looking at some of these that they're just redesignating the 718th Infantry Division. So, yep, we'll take that. That'll be nice. Where are you? Where are you? Let's grab this. Come down here. Got a lot of those Polizei units that I need to send to Africa. Of the naval units, I shouldn't have. There we are. Oh, getting closer. Click there, and then click there. Oh, right here. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, we don't need you there. Let's send you up here. And let's grab a commander. Yeah. Von Luck. Maybe it'll be a lucky division. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, well, we're going to end this episode here. It's gone on long enough. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking the videos. If you haven't already, they tell me in YouTube school, gotta ask you, please subscribe. And of course, post questions, questions, suggestions, ideas, corrections. I do appreciate good corrections. Once in a while, people mouth off about something, and oh, this sucks, or you're all wrong, or whatever. And okay, fine, but how and in what way, and can you improve? You know, how do I suck? You know, tell me. Then I can get better, or whatever. Okay, thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.